oh, Phazon's on a different legend, but it's still the same player, so he's used to these tendencies? Or is Cody Travis going to have to deal a little bit with the Greatsword matchup? I'm really excited to see how this match is going to be playing out.
Yeah, I guess it'll really just boil down to how much practice has everybody gotten against something like Phazon's Jae-yun, or has he kind of been, you know, STSFN, save that stuff for nationals, you know, where you're
right.
just like, this is going to be my secret weapon. I'm going to break it out right at the last minute so that way people have as little time to adapt as possible. So it's going to be very telling, this game number 1.
Yeah, if there's one player that doesn't have to worry about qualifying for the World Championship, it's Cody Travis. That is for certain, being the #1 PR player at the moment. Here we go into game number 1 of Mammoth Fortress, and already picking up that Greatsword and getting a nice 3 hits onto Cody's Brawlhalla, but he responds right back with even more. That neutral
Oh my gosh, and you can see it in the damage. 3 hits from Axe is going to do way much more damage, just because each singular hit does so much more.
Wow, it is so much fun to see that no matter where the meta takes Cody, he's still slide charge pivoting neutral signatures, and that weapon toss goes all the way into the exhaustive recovery.
That
really strong start.
Man, it's pot of gold over there, you know. I don't know what Cody Travis is planning to do from here. It's going to be tough to top that first stock.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Phazon's going to adapt to this first stock and whether he's going to hold on to the sword, which he's already very accustomed to. The Greatsword, he got 3 hits in, and then Cody just kind of didn't care that he had that weapon in hands. Yeah. Oh, these downlights have been wonderful from Cody as well. Missed that side light, good punish from Phazon. Neutral into that chase, dodge into the side sig, ground pound, dodges underneath the stage to avoid that, and kicks him down. Like, no, the ground pound off and just barely misses. Cody gets down aired, trying to go for that really greedy play, and loses a stock for it, but he still got a lot of damage despite that.
Yeah, I mean, so you saw Phazon there at the end. He was really hammering home on covering the wall. He did it with the recovery. He's doing it with those down airs. That's going to be the big thing. He has these long vertical sweeps that he can do with his Greatsword, and he's going to use that to try and secure stocks.
Well, he's got a lot of damage very quickly. I liked Cody's option to land with the blaster's down air in the direction that Phazon wasn't facing, so the neutral sig didn't come out fast enough to stop it, but still Phazon very quickly takes that second stock in a lead in game number 1.
Yeah, that was a big turnaround with the Whirlwind Closer from Greatsword. You only get that as a 3-piece or if you're doing it as a gravity cancel, so there's some resources and setup involved, but man, he caught Cody's landing perfect.
And now I'm noticing Phazon is doing a really great job with the downlight bridge that he's been pulling on the Greatsword. Every time he's catching him with that side light, gets that poke, goes for the downlight, waits to see what Cody's doing, and he's getting 4 hits at a time, which is just crazy amount of damage coming up from the Greatsword. Cody Travis now trying to get those side airs. Wow, the down air actually enough knockback to take the stock.
So now it's tied up 1 stock apiece. Cody Travis, you know, he's somewhere between yellow and orange, but he still has a ton of defense on that Brawlhalla, so it's going to take a while to chip on through.
Yeah, and he's getting those hits, and didn't go for the downlight that time, but the Nair connects. He dashes back, but 2 Nairs from the Greatsword in a row will bring Cody into deep orange. That side air comes through, but the sidelight Nair will even up the damage. Cody doesn't get the down air, and the side sig interrupted by Jae-yoon's own side sig. The D-light Nair off the platform, that catches Cody off guard and takes down the stock. Phazon taking game number 1 over Cody Travis.
Man, that was such a rocky start for Phazon, but he was really able to turn it around, you know, start matching Cody's damage output, and really it was big on these edge guards, catching the landing even that far out on the platform, and there, stuffing his side signature twice in a row, Phazon beat it out. That was huge.
Yeah, unfortunately for Brawlhalla, he always has that little celebratory charge for the side stick. No matter how fast you put it out, Jae-yoon's a little bit quicker than that. And when you put it point blank, you're going to find yourself getting punished. And now the Greatsword recoveries are coming out from Phazon as he takes a monumentous lead here against Cody Travis. Went for that neutral stick, just barely missed it. He gets 1 down air, but Cody taking so much damage in the first 30 seconds of this game.
Yeah, where it seemed like game number 1, it took Phazon a long while to be able to find any kind of read for extended Greatsword chains. This time he's mixing it up, he's got the read onto Cody, and that's just turned into a first stock.
Yeah, so first stock goes down.
Yeah, he's
And,
respawning. He's unarmed. Phazon just controlling the ground, even going for the jump ground pound read. That's an unusual one. You know, usually you see a lot of people go for just general continued chains, sticking with grounded attacks, but that jump ground pound that you can kind of inject in there for a little bit of extra damage.
Let's see what Cody's able to do with the blasters against the greatsword. It's been primarily the axe that's been getting him the most of his damage and knockouts. The blasters seem to be almost, in some cases, feels like getting outranged by the greatsword in some spots. But Cody's usage of the down airs, I think, was going to be the most important here. Let's see if he can continue to get those down air landings, read the right direction that he's planning on Phazon to attack and get more stocks. Another side sig miss, but the down air follow-up afterwards could lead to the stock, and
yes!
ground pound secures the knockout.
Yeah, that was a great change up from Cody. You know, the blasters, he was starting to outrange the greatsword just because that side air reaches so long from the blasters. You've just got to kind of start accounting for the greatsword's movement in its kit to be able to beat out the range. But then when he swapped over to the axe, I mean, that was just classic edge guard, the ground pound hold covering the wall.
Oh, I like that weapon throw coming up from Cody. Nice neutral light. Just waited to see what he was going to do. And that the great recovery that it catches him in. And it does. What a powerful knockout option coming up from Phazon.
Yeah, that thing's a beast.
Yeah. Interesting about the greatsword. I haven't seen it from Phazon just yet, but if you use the recovery into the side of the stage, it changes a little bit, just because of the collision with the wall. We'll see if Phazon's able to use that. Nice neutral sig, but he misses it out. The nair hits, side sig misses as well, and Cody's getting those axe side airs in, just a few more, and Phazon's jam might go down to one more stock, but it has been a great game for Phazon so far. Those neutral lights are just getting so much extra credit for him. Let's see if he can get a dash up nair
really,
here.
A lot of the damage is coming from just catching Cody's landings and trying to get, if not maximum return off of each one, at least something. Because, you know, it'll add up over time.
And Cody's starting to get the really strong hits in here through his both the axe and blaster side airs, but then Phazon with that punish is just going to basically mean even if Phazon loses the stock right here.
Oh my god! That was a beautiful read. He hit the side light opener, he knew he was going to dodge through. Any of that neutral signature just waiting for him. If Cody had done nothing, it would have just completely whiffed the opposite direction. Phazon would have gotten blown up, but Phazon knew he had that dialed in so early.
Yeah, and that's the first time that we saw a mix-up coming out from Phazon like that, too. Very powerful one. And Cody Travis is back on a legend that, honestly, is rare to see him block in a tournament. The Lord Frax is coming into game number 3. Will the Lance make a difference? The Axe was doing wonderfully for him. I'm just wondering what it's going to be from the Frax that we're going to see that's going to possibly change up how these games have been going. They have been... They've been competitive. The second game wasn't nearly as close as the first one, so let's see how he plays it out here.
Yeah, I find this an interesting change just because I personally felt like Cody's axe was doing most of the work when he was keeping up with Phazon, but I'm wondering what he's thinking. Is the Lance really the answer here?
Well, so far we haven't seen it. It's been all blasters. He's been putting out that Brax down signature, trying to snipe
maybe that's
Phazon's positioning. It is an incredibly unique signature as far as blaster kits go, especially with his ability to slide charge it like that and the range that it has.
Yes.
It's interesting. We were talking about range, right? And where blasters, yes, they do outrange the greatsword, but with the ability to dash and the momentum that you get from the attack, sometimes it can feel like the greatsword has the upper hand. But nothing outranges that down signature from Brax when it just comes to the positioning from the legend and where the attack is going. And it seems like he's using it a lot to keep Phazon in an uncomfortable position.
Yeah, that's such a smart change, such a smart answer. He's like, all right, well, if I'm getting beat out on some of these extreme ranges, or I'm not able to dial in onto the movement that Phazon's putting onto those attacks first, well, let me just go as far as I possibly can.
Ooh, but that down air hits as Cody collides with the wall, the Lance side air, and Phazon takes the first stock once again. But there's a lot of moves that Cody can put out here. Well, okay, I thought that was one of them, but he's gonna need one more.
I mean, Frax doesn't have a ton of strength, you know, he's a little lacking in that regard, so it's going to take him a couple more hits to score the knockout.
And let's just hope that he gets those in before he takes a couple more hits himself. So far, only one sideline hits. The down connects perfect.
Yeah, that looked so cool. The dash jump fast fall over the corner. It's always just kind of like a meteor streaking across.
Yeah, and then getting the down air timing right as well to make sure that it actually connects to your opponent is huge too. Now on to the Lance versus the Sword. A little bit more of a familiar matchup for a lot of viewers at home. Side air hits and he gets the neutral six slightly charged too.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt. You see Cody really just starting to run away with this lead here. Phazon going into the orange, almost the red. Cody just seems to have all the answers.
I'm loving the lands coming out from Cody so far. Nice little 2-hit coming out from Phazon. Let's see if Cody's able to get that neutral sig once again. No, dodges straight up with the sidelight and a side sig. Wrong signature read, but he's still keeping Phazon on the back foot. Phazon is dodging away. He's not punishing. Side air sends him flying. I think he's going to go back to the blasters for this last stock, get a ton of damage and keep him away with that down signature.
Yeah, I really like this Vrax pick from Cody. I mean, it is just looking phenomenal.
Side air, miss space, but a down to keep Phazon away. Side air comes all the way through. Oh, but Phazon trying to babysit his recovery there, ends up getting hit. Oh, gravity cancel down like at the last second, but he gets punished, and Phazon's going to get him for that down air, and that's the stock. It is anybody's game for game number 3.
Yeah, that was really smart. Just some key differences in how Phazon tends to edge guard. He will track you as far as possible. He doesn't try to go and just cover the wall or where he thinks you're going to go. He will actually make sure to lock onto your position. That's why that down air after the blaster's recovery was so spot on.
I'm very curious about the weapon choice coming up from Phazon. Okay, again, he was thinking the same thing. Last time they were in the sword versus lance matchup, it worked out really well for Cody, and actually he had a sword primed, so he has to throw that away and wait for another weapon spawn. Because Cody's continuing to take the lead here. That sider came really close. He's gonna go for a neutral sig here, I think, on the edge.
Just waiting. Oh no! Switching over to the blasters. Look at this. The blaster's corner guard is so good. Cody able to rotate through these attacks. Catches him with the down signature. That's a ton of damage. And the combo for the knockout. That's now 2-1. Cody Travis is on the board.
Ooh, and there's a pretty big damage lead coming out for Cody on the Vrax as well. All right, I'm sold. Sometimes I'm wondering when Cody gets these other legends, is that going to be it for his run? But no, it was very convincing against the Jan, and I firmly believe that the down sig usage was entirely to prevent Phazon from feeling too comfortable dashing in with downlights and sidelights on the greatsword for the openers. And it worked really well.
So I wonder what the change is going to be, Phazon now, to try and, reclaim some of that ground, some of that comfortability.
Let's find out. Lance picked up. Oh, he gets a few hits in. Cody knows his dodge is gone, but there he goes in, and once again, another neutral light connects. Cody yet to touch him. There's that side air. Downwind doesn't get the dodge in, but the down air does. And Cody's starting to put on the hurt. If that was a neutral sig, I think that would have worked, but the side sig catches him instead. Oh, no dodge! Oh, Cody!
Man, they are just scrapping back and forth, but it seems like Phazon has been able to dribble Cody a couple more times.
Yeah. Cody's getting really impressive punishes, but Phazon's just winning in neutral way too much for it to matter. Ooh, another gravity cancel down. Like, he's been doing these, like, jumping, no fastfall, gravity cancel downlights right before he touches the stage, and Phazon has punished him 100% of the time for that, and I think that's a little bit of what you were talking about earlier when it comes to their familiarity with their playstyles. That's just Phazon going, I know you like to do for downlights at this range, I'm always going to dash jump cider you for it.
Yeah.
And kicking him away here, really strong start.
Now again, the corner guard, Phazon trying to find his way in, gets the hit, not able to get any more purchase beyond that. Now Cody answering back with the lance. Phazon is unarmed. He's out of options!
That's a little bit more powerful than a side air, and I love it. Side signature, using every jump, just fall. Like Phazon was just jumping for his life, and then he takes the first stock as well as getting an air in there. Beautiful lance play coming up from Cody. Another side sig hits. What? Side air, down air, side air. Ground pound. I thought that was going to be the stock for sure. Cody is on fire.
Yeah, I mean, he has just been lighting Phazon up. We've got the orange, into the red, all the warm colors coming out right now, and Cody just looking unstoppable on this Vrax pick.
Okay, that side air doesn't do it. He bounced off the stage enough to survive, and Cody somehow still looking like he's on Barasa levels of defense with Vrax as he Sares chain dodges, chain dodges. He's just doing so much damage to Phazon. Is the neutral light going to do it? It almost
not yet. Man, Cody is just chilling on this lance. Finally, Phazon able to take him down, but look how much damage Cody was able to do. He just needs a light tap onto Phazon.
I really want to highlight that Cody was in deep red while Phazon was in light orange on their first stocks each, and now look at where we are. He is a Sarah away from being in a lot of hurt. Let's see what Cody's able to do. It is a very interesting Lance playstyle coming out from Cody. I would reckon that he is honestly making the Lance look more like Axe than Lance. I'm so used to watching Kostelix, and now I'm watching Cody, and it is a very much of like a get a Sarah here and a Sarah there. No side lights coming out from Cody when it comes to playing that Lance. And the down sink just snipes him off the ground just right off the top.
Jeez, that is just such a smart thing to change to Vrax for, and Cody's really been making it work. You know, not even just for making Phazon uncomfortable and kind of stealing the ground from him, but in securing knockouts. He's done it a couple times now.
And he's doing a very good job of getting out of Phazon's option selects when it comes to the mix-up off of hitting a neutral light opener. We saw like in that game 2 where he was able to end with the neutral stick finisher off the top. I've barely seen any conversions coming off of Phazon whenever he gets a hit here or there. Sides that connects though, and that sends him flying.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest reads you can get with Jae-Yun, is when you're like, hey, I know you're going to dodge away, I know you're going to try and just create that distance. I'm going to use this very slow to start side signature, but it launches itself so far and just covers those escape options. Oh, Phazon juggling these weapons, just trying to deny it from Cody. Cody waiting for him to get close. He was just going to smack him right on the nose.
That was pretty funny. Okay, Cody's got blasters now against the sword. Means he'll probably go back to his regular playstyle, not marrying as many down signatures, side lights galore. Ooh, okay, that down came really close, and the downer doesn't hit. Oh, they're just jumping right over each other, but one side light hits. He's gonna hit another one. Oh, gonna get the down light and a cider. That one connecting, and the down stick dodges out of the way, but Cody still taking more damage, or doing more damage than he is taking. And he's just trying to keep Phazon away from that greatsword.
I like Cody fading around. You know, they're kind of, even though neither of them was going to grab that weapon for quite some time, they were using it as like the focal point of the match, all just leapfrogging around it.
Phazon's hitting so many recoveries. Okay, downlight recovery range is here, but he has to avoid that side stick from Jae-Yun, and that will absolutely do it. If he gets a downlight side air on that platform, Cody's just got to stay to center stage if he wants to bring this to a game number 5.
Oh, big signature! Let's go, Cody! It's 2-2. We're going to game 5.
Wow, I honestly can't believe what I'm seeing. I was really thinking that going to the Lord Vrax was just kind of like, okay, you're picking a different legend because it's going poorly for you, but no, this seems so much like what you were alluding to earlier before the set even began, which was that how is this matchup going to play out? Is Cody going to bring out the secret weapon? And I think he is. I think he's brought out the weapon that's like, I'm sick of fighting all these Jae-Yuns on ladder. I know that the character's flavor of the month. Here's what I've got to beat it. And it's the Lord Vrax. The Vrax out of all characters.
That's a legit pocket. Like, if there were any doubts at all when he first selected this character, I mean, they are just completely dashed. These matches have really just been Cody playing the alien overlord to his maximum.
And it's particularly noticeable to the stance that he's taking, going into the defense stance and taking out the decks. There was
taking off a force,
or taking off a force, right? There was an argument for a long time that Vrax was really only picked because he could dip into that really rare high dexterity zone so that he can get some strings that were tighter or true over other legends. So it's nice to see Cody picking Vrax for a purpose completely different than that.
Yeah, it really seems to be, hey, you know what? Greatsword's got a bunch of movement in its attacks. Lance has a bunch of movement and oftentimes more priority. So able to take to the skies, cover those a little bit better. And then the signature kit of Vrax, again, I really, really like this Vrax pick from Cody. Oh, yeah. All right, we're going to small Brawlhaven. This one's going to be dicey.
Yeah, I want to highlight that the last game worked for Cody as well as it did because it was on Mammoth Fortress. He was surviving to ridiculous amounts of HP. That is not going to be possible in the same way as it is on Small Brawlhaven. I could stand corrected, but okay, this is a bad start. Oh, but he gets back. No down airs, no side airs. Cody didn't want to risk it. He just wants to get back on the stage.
He's just been going with like the classic sword edge guards and just executing them so expertly well that he's got Cody, you know, into the red basically. Just off of that.
Yeah, Cody's starting to get some damage with the blasters, but it was already a ton of damage coming up from downers and ground pounds from Phazon. Neutralite puts him off the stage again. That ground pound doesn't connect, but it does put Cody into the center of the stage. One nair, two nairs. Does he get a down air afterwards? No, the weapon throw comes through, and he's going for that great sword for that quick finisher. No dodge. He could go off for an edge guard. That's the ground pound, and that's the stock.
Yeah, covering the wall. He built all the damage with the regular sword, then just went over to the great sword for that cleanup.
Recovery hits, and that's more damage. That Neutralite catching the landing as well.
Oh my
Cody
gosh.
is just not finding any of the openings that he was finding the previous two games. Phazon doing remarkably well in Game 5.
I mean, here's where
Recovery.
Phazon really gets to use, that mid-range ability of the sword, and I would argue the long-range ability of the sword's side light to catch Cody's landings way more reliably. With small Brawlhaven, you've only got so much area to land. Oh, but Cody chasing him so far up into that top right corner, securing the knockout. Signs of life. Let's go. Game 5.
Yeah, that was huge. That was D-Light into Sair, just sending him all the way off to the right side.
Unlimited ammo, no reloads.
Yeah, and now, okay, he's going for these jumping down airs, trying to catch Phazon on the ground. One down stick hits, down air hits as well. We're seeing more of that strategy that we saw earlier against that greatsword, and I honestly think that Cody has forced Phazon into favoring the sword on the Jaeon pick over the greatsword just because how well he's playing against it.
I mean, hey, if you're going to get forced onto sword, small Brawlhaven kind of
Yeah.
takes care of a lot of your late knockout worries just because you don't really need that much. And you've got a solid knockout confirm in the downlight recovery, downlight side air if you're that far over.
Oh, man. Cody got pretty unlucky there with that downlight timing. He went for a gravity cancel downlight, and Phazon dashed forward and neutralized him before the first shot went off, and it led to that edge guard where now Phazon is one stock away from getting into the winner's finals for the Mammoth Cup. And that is a lot of damage coming out on that greatsword, keeping Cody without weapons. Nair comes through, picks up the sword. He just wants to make sure Cody's on nothing.
Yeah, I mean, really pressing that weapon advantage as much as he can. He built himself a decent lead, so even if Phazon gets knocked out here, but that's so far from being the case. Phazon dominant even on this second stock. I mean, Cody hasn't really been able to land or stabilize. Here's the chance.
I thought he was going to go for a recovery there, but he went for a double nair instead. Recovery misses. He has to get the stock here, and now one more hit is going to be too much, but Phazon survives, avoids the side air from the edge, and Cody throws up in the wrong direction, and that is it. A side light finisher from Phazon takes down Cody's last stock, and he takes the set 3-2 to go into winners finals.
Man, that was such a tight set, just rife with counterpicks and adaptation. I mean, it really was, hey, Barraza wasn't working out against this, bring out the Pocket Vrax, and then you bring it all the way to Game 5, and what happens? Change up the map where Phazon can really just more consistently catch those landings from Cody Travis, where the bulk of his damage was being built.
Yeah, I like that you highlighted the map there. It was definitely like, what was my problem last game? Oh yeah, I couldn't take any single one of Cody Travis's stocks. Let's fix that. Go to small Brawlhaven. All of a sudden, Cody just couldn't live long enough to get